Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Are you ready to take your career to the next level?
One of the best ways we found to do that is to surround yourself with like-hearted sales professionals.
And we've heard that saying, you're the sum of the people that you hang out with.
Well, if you want to hang out with some sales professionals that also want to take their career to the next level and believe in selling from the heart, we invite you to join us in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group.
This is a weekly gathering of like-hearted, like-minded sales professionals and sales leaders. We truly build community each and every week.
One of our favorite things is our up close and personal with thought leaders, former podcast guests, and people that challenge us to grow in sales. We would like you to join us for our next up close and personal. Just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. That's sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. And we look forward to seeing you in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. Hello, and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, Darrell, great seeing you. We got all kinds of things going on. We're smack dab in the middle of summer, and it just keeps on going and going and going, Darrell.
It is fun right now. It's a great time. We've got a phenomenal conversation lined up with our friend Anthony Garcia today. Get ready to set some goals. It's going to be a phenomenal day. And Larry, this was an absolutely fun week with all the celebrations around the book launching. You are now officially, you can go to barnesandnoble.com and buy Selling from the Heart. It's the first step in just the growth of this movement all over the world. And I'm so excited, Larry. Just congratulations, big time. It's so cool to see the growth of the impact of this movement.
Yeah, this is a pinch and poke moment, but who would have thought, 5 years ago, all of this would have happened? If we rewound and we went back 5 years ago and fast forwarded, could I have scripted it this way? No, I'm super grateful. I'm super grateful to everybody who supported this movement.
Yeah, and I'll echo that as well. Thank you to everybody who helped us in the relaunch of this book. And thank you to everybody who's sharing this, Selling from the Heart. Yes, it's a book. Yes, it's a podcast, but really behind all of it is people and our insiders group and the people all around the world who are saying, yes, that's me selling from the heart. I want to be more genuine. I want to bring my authentic self. I want to build trust. The essence is selling from the heart. If you're listening to this podcast and you've listened to more than one episode, you're in. You're part of the movement, and we so appreciate you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a special shout out before you welcome on Anthony. I just want to give a special shout out to Matt Nelson, and Matt's in the Insiders Group. Matt is a servant-hearted leader, super great guy. I'm a big believer things happen for a reason. Matt, our paths crossed years ago. You know where, but it was for a reason. Thanks for being a member of the Insiders Group.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, if you're not a member of the Insiders Group, you want to come hang out with us. And there it is, just rolling across the bottom of the screen. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can get a free pass to our next Up Close and Personal. We get up close and personal with thought leaders that are friends of ours, that are real helpful resources in helping you move your sales career forward. And we get together every Friday, and the next Up Close and Personal, you can get your free pass. If you want to come test drive it, go to sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. We'd love to introduce you to this incredible community of like-hearted sales professionals. Speaking of incredible, we've got an incredible guest today. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Anthony Garcia has achieved top accolades in direct business-to-business and medical sales. He's trained and developed sales teams for C.R. Bard, Cutco, Paychex. Selling Power magazine recognized his book, Catapulting Commissions, as one of the best sales books to read. He's the host of the Catapulting Commissions podcast, and he is here with us today on Selling from the Heart. Welcome, Anthony. It's great to have you here in the studio.
Darrell, I'm excited to be here. Been a longtime fan of Selling from the Heart, so I'm excited to finally get an opportunity to share my message and have some fun with you guys.
Oh, we can't wait to hear the message. Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to have some fun, and we're going to kick all that fun off by having you answer the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers. And that is, Anthony, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
I think the clearest thing that I could share about selling from the heart is this. Selling from the heart is truly believing that whatever the product or services I'm selling, can solve a problem that I completely understand, and I demonstrate a heightened level of empathy with my prospect. Selling from the heart is truly caring about the outcome that takes place after the product or service you've sold has been delivered. It's not making that transaction. It's not getting the commission. It's about doing the thing that your product or service is supposed to do and caring about the results after the fact. That's really my definition of selling from the heart.
Oh, and I love when I keep hearing the word caring over and over again, because it's selling from the heart, Anthony. We call it giving a rip. Mm-hmm. And you could just conjure up all the things that you can think about in the terms of giving a rip. But there's a key word that you said in there, and it's transactional. And I've always said this, and I'll throw a stake in the ground on this one, is when salespeople enter conversations with that transactional mindset, be prepared that you're going to get replaced, because there's always somebody that's going to come around with a better transactional conversation. But you got to lean into these people, and you got to show that you care, because people sense when you care. They immediately sense it. And I think you'd agree with that, Anthony.
Oh, absolutely. The transactional sales philosophies, right? I look back in how I was first introduced to sales 22 plus years ago now, right? I look at that process, and I was transactional. And you quickly learn, like, hey, the transactional process, that's that fast burn and turn that people that are in the sales industry look at, and sometimes in my role now, I consult other companies on building their sales teams. And if they have that transactional mentality, typically that turnover, that sales rep turnover matches it. So it's not a fun place to be in as a sales rep. It's not a fun place to be as a company, as a customer. And it's definitely not a fun place to try to scale a company with that transactional mindset.
Nope.
No, not remotely. And this is, this whole concept, we call it giving a rip here around at Selling from the Heart. And this is such the essence of this. And it really aligns well with the way that you've approached thinking about goal setting inside sales. And I know, if you're in that transactional mindset, chances are the carryover of that was you're in a commission mindset. Like, how much can I make? How fast can I make it? And Anthony, and just talking to you and listening to your philosophy of sales and motivation, money only gets you so far. And at some point, that's going to fail to motivate you to keep moving forward.
Yeah, this belief, right? When I would interview sales reps, when I was building teams, I would ask this question. The question I would ask is, what motivates you more, money or recognition? And I just wanted to hear the response. And I would tell them, there's no right or wrong answer. I just want to hear you defend your position. And what I had found is, and I share this with colleagues. I'm like, they would argue, I want somebody who wants the money. And I'm like, you know what? Not really. Because once that person makes an X amount of money, they're no longer motivated anymore, right? The motivation changes. And, in building corporate sales teams, I remember sitting with sales reps that are 20, 25, 30 years tenure, and the retirement is 4 or 5 years away. They've built up a nest egg, they have minimal expenses. And to them, they're on the downward, like, hey, I don't know, 85%, 100% to quote, it's kind of all the same thing. How do you get that person going when they're looking at you saying, I've built this, so money doesn't motivate me? So I look at through the approach of, I'm going to set whatever the goal is every year that's emotionally draining on me. I use emotionally invested to sound positive, but the truth is it's emotionally draining on me. I pick something that I'm so emotionally invested in that it's okay. I'll cry. I'll lose sleep. I'll wake up. The goal consumes me. Money's just a way to keep score at the end of the game. But the goal is what drives me.
And here's what's interesting about this, because I'd be curious on the responses that you received over time, is because I believe if you ask somebody early on in their career, and I just think back to my early 20s, right, just barely starting off in my sales career, Anthony, if you would have asked me that question, more than likely 95% of me would have said money, because I'm in my early 20s. But I think if you ask that to somebody who's progressed through their career, for any length of time. Now you're a little tenured in your sales career. Maybe you got a little bit of war wounds on you. I think that response changes over time, and money soon turns to recognition. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I look at some of the proudest moments that I've had as a salesperson, as a sales trainer, as a sales manager. And it's the recognition, right? You know, the President's Clubs, the Circles Club, those accolades, those are fun. But the recognition I'm talking about,
yep.
I look at the sales reps I trained and developed. And in my last corporate industry, I took a chance on a 22-year-old girl out of high school in a really complex medical sales process. I fought tooth and nail with my VP. Hey, this is a person. This is. I know it's unorthodox, but you didn't hire me because I think in the box. So I got the sign off. She comes in 1 year as an associate rep. Then I go back to argue. I want to make her the youngest promoted territory manager in company history. Have a whole nother argument again. Stake my career on her. She goes out, wins Rookie of the Year, wins number 2 rep in the company, changes the territory, develops the territory to a magnitude that it hasn't seen. 5 years later, she comes to me and she says, hey, I have an opportunity to move into one of the most complex sales processes at the different company. And we had a heart-to-heart. And she says, this wouldn't be possible without you. Just checked with her recently the other day. And I'm talking to somebody who's now 28, 29. She hasn't made less than $500,000 since she's been 26, 25. I mean, I'm looking at her. I'm like, you're making this type of money. You've bought a home in Sherman Oaks, California. You're on the verge of having your first child. Like, you have set yourself up for success. And I pulled you 22 years old out of cold calling people for some travel company as your first sales job out of college. That's the recognition that gets me going.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can make that difference.
I love that. And this is, you know, when you think about setting goals right now, and I love your perspective on this, because so many of the goals that I was challenged to set as a sales rep, and quite frankly, that I challenged my reps to set as a manager was, hey, how much do you want to make and what's it going to take to get there? And I suppose that does have its place, especially as you're getting started. But talk to us about this shift. When does the shift happen? And how do you know you're in that shift for our sales professionals listening in, that you go, well, I might be in the middle of this shift from being money being the primary motivation to maybe I should set some goals from a different perspective. What are the signs of you're ready to make that change?
Yeah, I think the biggest sign that you look at is simply saying, hey, if you are under the mentality of I'm frustrated, work's not fun, or you're one of the 48, 49%, I don't know the latest number of reps that go to their job and looking for another job, right? Mm-hmm. The sign is, that's the sign. Like, that's the sign. Hey, if I'm spending time looking for the next opportunity, the next comp plan, the next guarantee, the next whatever it is, it's not a money. It's a goal. It's what are you trying to accomplish? This premise of managing goals and making goals the center for salespeople. And I would love to say that I created this concept out of thin air. What I would like to tell you is I changed the concept and when it was presented to me. This concept was first presented to me in 2006 by a gentleman named Matthew Kelly. Wrote a book called The Dream Manager. And the whole premise was, the premise of the book was managing low entry-level janitors to manage to their dreams. And the whole premise was, I'm going to teach this person who has income that would be considered in the poverty level, and we're going to create a plan to match their dreams, whatever their dream may be. And the dreams were buy a home, buy a car, be able to take my kids to school on a consistent basis. Simple dreams. But me as a business leader, an owner, a sales manager, I'm like, oh, I can help you accomplish those. So I heard that message many years ago, and that was how I instantly heard that. I'm like, well, then I'm going to change the way I look at things. I'm going to just set my goals as things that are emotionally invested to me. Like, first one, buy my first home. Second one, buy my second home. And it was just little steps, take my kids on vacation. And the dreams, they became reality, but I ended up calling them goals. And then when I started managing sales reps, I would just sit there and say, hey man, tell me about your goal. And everyone starts with this conversation. Oh, my goal is to hit quota. My goal is to promote.
Right.
My goal is to advance. My goal is to get your job. And I would look at them, I'm like, dude, I don't care about that. And they would just look at me like, I really don't. I'm like, here's why I don't care about that. Because if you hit your other goal that I'm talking about, If that's something you want, that opportunity will present itself. And trust me, I'll be the first one to come to you with that opportunity. Yep. Tell me about the real goal, the thing you want in life. And you would get a level of vulnerability from salespeople that you normally don't get. And so that's when I heard the girl I talked about earlier. Hey, I want to own a home in a city that people say it's difficult to own a home under 30. Done deal. Let's reverse engineer that. Let's take a look at that. And the job, whatever we were selling, is just the vehicle to hit that goal. So I look at that emotional commitment to that goal. The sales part, I mean, that's the blocking and tackling. That's easy. It's maintaining the emotions and identifying that. And at the end, I've said it numerous times. I said it for years. Money's just the way to keep score.
Yeah, and I love this conversation because, as I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying, Anthony, here's some words that just popped in to my head, and I'm going to speak to sales leaders and sales managers just for a moment. When I share this, is let's just set aside goals. Imagine, Anthony, if sales leaders and sales managers understood the dreams, the aspirations, and the visions of their salespeople. And they just simply ask them on a continual basis, hey, what's your aspirations over the next couple of years, right? What are you dreaming about? What's this look like, right? What's your career look like over the span of the next couple of years? And then together you form goals around that to help you achieve that. And I'm like, the only reason I'm saying this, I wish that would have happened to me in my 20s. Because sometimes we don't understand our goals. But if you flip it around and say, hey, what are your dreams and your aspirations? Where do you see yourself down the road? Then you as a manager and a leader can help that salesperson get there. And I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I look at my time when I transitioned from individual contributor to that sales management, sales position leadership. And I remember coming to the leadership team that promoted me, and I had thoughts that they had not heard. And it wasn't a knock on them, but it was everybody viewed this sales leadership development, this advanced leaders club, whatever name the corporation calls it. And what it really is I'm going to put you in a minimal position of leadership. I'm going to spend some extra time with you, and I'm going to develop you to grow within this company. And I would argue, like, why don't we just teach them how to develop to grow as individuals and professionals? And so ideas I would come with, I'm saying, look, you want me to, and same example, I inherited a rep when I took into a management position. He's exactly who I described on the tail end of his career. Like, if I come to this guy with, hey, here's his quota, here's his President's Club, he's going to leave me. He's like, dude, I've done all the President's Club. I've made all the money. And so when I came and I had a heart-to-heart conversation with him, just like you said, hey, man, what's the thing, like, and it took a while to get it out because he was definitely, a little more tenured. And his honest thing is like, dude, he's like, I'm terrified of what to do with the retirement development that I've built. Like, I don't know, I trust my guy, but it's difficult to have this conversation with somebody. Everybody I speak to, you can't talk to a financial advisor unless they're trying to get they want to gain a part of your business. And I was like, okay, what else? He's like, there's a certain level of cash that I like to have on hand. Am I doing it wrong? I said, I'll tell you what, man, I'm gonna take your idea. And literally I went to my management team and I said, hey, can I get an expense budget? I'd like to hire a financial person that's not going to be commissioned, not have the opportunity to possession and sell.
I love it.
Speak to my guys here about their portfolio. And I'm going to do it at my district meeting. And the face was like, that's like, I'm like, hey, I got to be honest with you. If this guy leaves, knowing that I care that much, that he put in the extra effort to manage his financial portfolio, his family's taken care of, you know what? I developed that equity to call him at the end of the month and say, hey, man, I need a little help. Can you help me out this month? Yeah. And I'm like, if I go to him, like, hey, man, here's the next President's Club, he's going to be like, dude, you sound like every other manager in the past 24 years.
Beautiful. Love this story.
Good.
This is such a powerful conversation. And I know as we move into the second half of this conversation, really want to get practical about how individual sales reps can dream. And we're going to take a pause here to hear from our sponsors, as well as our summer series. If you've been listening all summer, we've been taking best of answers of what it means to sell from the heart from previous podcast guests. And today is going to be amazing because we've got our friend Nigel Green will be joining us here in just a moment to answer what it means to him to sell from the heart after a word from our sponsors.
I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary tool that will change the way you understand yourself and others. Our partners at the Y Institute have created the Y.OS Discovery Platform, a powerful tool that in just 10 minutes can help you uncover your core motivations, how you bring them to life, and what others can expect from you. This is more than just a self-awareness tool. It's a game changer for coaches and those who want to help their clients reach their full potential. If you're a coach or a sales leader, go to whyinstitute.com and look for the Why certification. We'll put the link in the show notes. When you reach out to the Why Institute, let them know you heard about it on Selling from the Heart, and you'll be on your way to helping your people discover what drives them. Don't just take our word for it. Go to whyinstitute.com and see the powerful impact the Why.os discovery can have on your life.
What selling from the heart for me, maybe the answer might change, but day to day. But today, I just want to remind anyone that's selling today, before you hit send on that email, before you hit send on that LinkedIn message, before you think about what you're going to say in that voicemail, ask yourself, would I respond to this message? And I think, like, if you don't have any element of who you are and the heart of your customer in it, if it's just right down to the transaction, don't do it.
Oh, Nigel Green.
You rock, Nigel.
Go grab a copy of Revenue Harvest. Nigel Green's amazing.
That's right. And by the way, if you're listening in and you go, I'd like to be on Selling from the Heart podcast, text the word video to 21,000. That's video to 21,000. You'll get instructions how to submit a video of what it means to you to sell from the heart. We're having a great conversation today with Anthony Garcia about meaningful goals, motivational goals, personal goals. And my question for you, Anthony, is, as a sales professional, we've got a ton of producers, awesome heart-centered producers listening in. And I know they're thinking, because I'm thinking this as well, like, where do you start if you want to make this shift to emotional, meaningful dream/goals? Someone needs to create a word that combines those two. But where do you begin this process of taking that deep dive inside yourself about what's important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely share that. I just want to give a nice shout out. Love Nigel Green. I think, when you were talking about sales leadership in the beginning, I've had him on this show multiple times. We've had great conversations. Yeah, he's definitely a rock star. So, but to answer the question, where do we begin? Any salesperson who's come through my ecosystem with this goal, or they say, hey, I want to make a change, I want to do something. I said, let's break down the entire goal setting process. We discuss it in Catapulting Commissions. And I said, the very first thing is, right, let's list out the goal. Just tell me whatever your goal is, right? And we usually start with whatever the goal is. I don't break the goal down in the beginning. I look at that person, I say, okay, well, what if you failed? And we look, and I want you to look at the goal, and I want you to make this decision. So let's say I'm talking to the audience right now, and you say, hey, my goal is to make X amount of money. My goal is to hit this level. My goal is to get promoted. You'll follow my philosophies. My goal is to put enough money in my bank account to buy a home, to do this, whatever the situation may be. All right, so we laid out the goal. Now ask yourself, what if I failed, and what's the worst case scenario? Literally, just what if I fail? Because the true reality is you're going to miss more goals than you make. Like that's just, it's a proven stat. We fail more times than we connect. But if I identify in the beginning the worst possible outcome, it's usually such a minute instance in my life that I've now have made the ability to commit full force effort. So I'll use my personal story. There was a year that I was like, okay, I was tired in my corporate sales career of playing small. And I had a income goal. I had a personal goal. I had a house goal. I was like, okay, there's certain things that are coming here. Okay. And the income that I'm looking to accomplish does a couple things. It was able to build up a nest egg where my family would never really have to be in a position to stress. It was able to eliminate essentially all debt, and was able to take my family on a vacation. Like, those were things that were important to me, because as a child, those were things that I didn't have. And so when I sat there and listened and said, what's the worst outcome if I commit all in? And my version of all in, I was getting up, leaving my house at 4:30 in the morning. I'd work till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, I'm gonna go all in. I'm not gonna shortcut one opportunity. I'm not gonna cut short one day in the office. I'm not gonna not call somebody back. I'm not gonna avoid the meeting at 5:30 on Friday. I'm gonna do it all. And so when I looked and said, what's the worst case scenario? Here's the worst case scenario. Maybe I was a little bit tired. Maybe I missed an opportunity for a dinner, a birthday party. And realistically, what else is the worst? What's going to happen? I'm going to fail. And here's what the truth came. My ego would get hurt, right? Because I went out there and I didn't hit something. But I tell you what, let's just use simple numbers. Let's say the goal is $500,000 and I missed and hit 440. I'd feel okay. I just didn't hit. So first thing you do is what's the worst possible outcome to happen? And for salespeople, you look at that and you're like, you know what, that's really not that bad. And then once I look at the worst possible outcome, I go out, I plan my goal, and here's the first thing that I plan for: adversity. Everybody wants to plan the fun stuff. You got to make this amount of calls. You got to do this. And, we reverse engineer numbers. And every salesperson from the beginning of time goes and reverse engineers. They're going to take this many calls, this much prospecting, et cetera, et cetera. I always look and say, well, what if we anticipate adversity? Because the plans we make are on this ideal scenario.
Yeah.
The ideal scenarios don't happen. You're going to anticipate adversity. We used to do this drill when I was in college, played college football. It's called sudden change. Middle practice, coach would blow his whistle. And no matter where you're at on the field, he's changed the situation. We could be working on special teams. We could be working on something. Sudden change. He yells it out. You had 2 minutes to run wherever he said, and we would run one play. Sudden change. Luke threw an interception. Team returned it back. It's 1st and goal. 30 seconds left. We're in the national championship game. I want second team offense versus second team defense. Go. And it was with this full intensity. And it was at the most inopportune times. I mean, helmets off, you're stretching. But the truth is, that's life.
Yeah.
It really is. All right. And I share a story in the book where and the book was developed over this massive successful year I had as an individual contributor, following this goal process. And the adversity that I didn't anticipate hit me hard. I always planned for adversity. I ended up having shoulder surgery. I was like, I hurt myself working out. And I was like, that's kind of a bummer. Put me down and out of my territory for about 10 days. And I was like, okay, I get over that. 6 weeks later, my father passed away unexpectedly. You talk about a slam in your face. And that, I was like, okay. So instead of 10 days out of the territory, realistically, it turned to almost 2 months out of the territory in the most profitable, highest income year of my life, because we, for lack of better words, we planned for that adversity. So, those are some of the first two things. And then I always tell people the world of SMART goals leaves you, it leaves you in a bad position. Like, to me, a SMART goal is the foundation. It's basics, right? We all understand the principles of SMART goals. I just simply say, hey, I'm gonna make a smarter goal. And the smarter goal is this. I'm gonna take the SMART goal foundation and I'm gonna have an E added to it, which is I'm gonna be emotionally invested to my goal. And the R, right? It could be smarter, but it's smarter because, the R is supposed to be the dream, but the R is the reward. So what's the reward that I'm going for? And if I list all that in the beginning and I know that I'm gonna be emotionally invested to this thing, you usually find yourself in a much better position. The rest of the book goes and talks about the accountability system, the people around, the framework, the network you have to do this. But if you were to say, hey man, what's the high level thing? Here's the 3 things. Realize that you may fail. What does that look like? What's the worst case? Start to anticipate adversity and create a smarter goal that's emotionally invested to you. One that you'll cry over. A grown man, you can cry. It's okay. Done it a billion times.
Oh, gee,
wow.
I love it. I don't mind crying, but there's something that you said that I just love, because a lot of salespeople just don't plan for this. That's the adversity part of this, right? We all know this. The S word's going to happen in sales, right? Poo-poo's going to happen. And it's how you deal with it. But, and I'll be the first one to raise my hand on this one is, one of my favorite sayings is the stories in our head become the stories of our lives. And we conjure up all these stories, right? We set these goals. And then the minute the adversity happens, then we flip out and say, well, okay, now I just can't reach these and I can't do all these things. But if we set those goals and we set those dreams and then plan for adversity, when it happens, we know how to veer right or veer left, just like your football example.
Absolutely. It's a skill that as salespeople, you should plan for adversity on a daily basis. It doesn't have to be as catastrophic as a situation of surgery or losing a parent, but you could break up with a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a spouse. There's a bazillion things. Hey, here's adversity. Your product that you're selling could go on back order. You could have service issues. Your favorite manager decides, hey, I'm leaving mid-contest year. And you're like, but you were the reason I worked here. Adversity is going to happen. You just have to plan for it.
Wow, such a powerful concept. And I'm so looking forward to getting deeper and deeper into this catapulting commissions concept. I think you're spot on all of this. Smarter goals. And I think this is just incredibly, incredibly valuable perspective for us today here. And just on behalf of the Selling from the Heart community, I want to say a huge thank you for sharing time and sharing your heart with us today. This has been amazing.
I'm glad to be here. Darrell, Larry, I've been a fan a long time, and I truly believe, right? You say selling from the heart. I look at it through the lens of if when our time is done here, the next generation of people that are selling, that are building the commerce, that are building business, can take some of the principles that we laid behind, I think we'll be all right in the future.
It's going to be
good. So true. Thanks,
hey,
Anthony.
How can people get more Anthony Garcia in their lives?
Yeah, 100%. Website's Anthony P. Garcia, as Anthony Paul Garcia, anthonypgarcia.com. If you want a copy of the book, go hit the tab book. You can download a free copy of the ebook. No questions asked. Just come grab it. I'd love to share it with you. If you're an Audible guy, Catapulting Commissions on Audible. But realistically, just Anthony P. Garcia. I'm online under all those handles. Anthony
you
P.
rock. Anthony, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
You got it. Larry, how powerful was that?
It's just, what I loved about what Anthony did is he broke this down to the simple because, so many times we have these goals and sometimes they're just a little bit set out of reach. But I like how we wove in dreams and aspirations and create a plan to get there. But I love the tail end of our conversation. It's smarter goals. It's just emotionally investing in them and then creating a reward.
Beautiful, beautiful. Aligns so well with the heart. And this is what we need, because reality is being what we want doing what we need to do to hit our goals takes grit. There's moments, right? There's lots of moments, and they come every single day when it's easy to go, I'll do that tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. But when we're emotionally invested in these dreams, that's where things become super motivational and super fun. And that's what I love, because at Selling from the Heart, we're all about success and significance. We can hit our financial goals and we can be fulfilled at the same time. And all of this doing business in a way that builds trust and really comes at this from, I give a rip. I give a rip about my clients, and I give a rip about the people that are special in my life and the dreams I have around all of that. All of that works together as a beautiful thing today, Anthony. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff we spoke about today, the things that we believe in Selling from the Heart, these are the difference makers. And this is the stuff, and again, this is the stuff that's going to separate sales professionals from sales reps. These are the things that will get you noticed.
Yeah. And if you want to hang out with some like-hearted sales professionals, people that believe in selling from the heart, people that give a rip, not just about their clients, but about their peers as well, you'll find one of the most generous, inspirational groups right here at Selling from the Heart. We call it the Insiders Group. If you want to check it out, go to sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. That's sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. Larry, this is fun. Summer is going to be coming to an end here pretty quickly. We'll be hitting Labor Day on into the fall. And as always, we have an incredible roster of inspirational, motivational, idea-packed episodes coming up. And I can't wait to share them with everybody. You want to make sure to like or subscribe to this podcast on whatever podcast audio platform you listen on, or you also want to go to YouTube and you can experience Selling from the Heart with our smiling faces right alongside our guests live. We'd love for you to join us on YouTube as well. Larry, what a pleasure.
Oh, it has been. Just to play off of what Anthony just said, I'm telling you, Darrell just mentioned YouTube. We emotionally invest in how we
watch
look.
Larry cry.
Yeah. We emotionally invest in how we look and all that on YouTube. So you can see our smiling faces, our hair and makeup and all that every single week. So come hang out with us.
That's right. Well, till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, set smarter goals that resonate with your dreams, and most of all,
sell from the heart.